All right. I'd like to start off by saying Barak Tehawa, Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Rachakodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is Various Topics. I really don't have a topic. I really have nothing really to go into, but go in the spirit and I feed you brothers whatever the spirit feeds me. I've been looking at a few videos and looking at a couple of articles. Nothing was really hitting hard, but I know through the spirit something will come up. But since we're speaking about these articles, let me just click over to here. And this article here is from All News Pipeline. And it says the best mix of hard-hitting real news and cutting-edge alternative news on the web. And this is dated April 16, 2018. I had this article for a while now. I just never got a chance to go into it. I read a little bit of it. Has some interesting stuff. We could use this sort of a catapult, because this all ties in to prophecy. And matter of fact, let's start off with that scripture in the book of Revelation, chapter 19 and 10. It says, I started at 9. And he said unto me, Right, blessed are they which are called unto the marriage supper of the Lamb. And he said unto me, These are the true sayings of the Most High. And I fell at his feet to worship him. And he said unto me, See thou do it not. I am thy fellow servant and of thy brethren that have the testimony of Yahushai. Worship the Most High, for the testimony of Yahushai is the spirit of prophecy. Now let's look up this word prophecy. We already know what it means. It means to say before. But let's see what it says in the Greek. Hit the wrong one. G4394 prophetia. It says prophecy, a discourse emanating from divine inspiration and declaring the purposes of the Most High. And this brings to mind, and shalom to the Akim on the comment board and the Akwath that may be watching. This brings to mind a video, I believe I watched that earlier, of Elder Yashawamba. And he was going into, I forget what it was, some comment somebody made to him or something along those lines. And I'm trying to see if I can find that real quick, because there was a comment that the guy made in oh, I know what it is now. That guy Adam Abbott, which he goes into, let me see if this is it right here. Yep, this is it. Matter of fact, let me bring it over here. Why did that do that? I don't know what happened. Okay, let's try it like this. All right. There we go. All right, so this guy, Adam Abbott, he's one of those guys that, that found out about Israel, I don't know how long ago. And they probably learned a little from here, a little from there, the different One West camps, and they decided to start their own thing. And now they're trying to inject their, they talk about private interpretation, but they're trying to inject their private interpretation into the scriptures. When the Lord already gave the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding and the mysteries of the Bible to his men. All right, so this is a video called Revelation 13, 17 through 18, the name of the beast and the number of his name. And in here, Elder Yeshawamba. I'm not going to quote him verbatim because I don't remember the exact quote, but something along the lines of that this guy said, Adam Abbott said, if the mark of the beast is the microchip, how come the prophets in the Old Testament or somewhere in the scriptures didn't they speak about the mark of the beast or something along those lines? I can't quote it verbatim, but the elder Yashwamba knows what I mean. And the man that made the statement, Adam Abbott, he knows exactly what it is. But what I put, the Spirit put him into my mind to write down is I said, the Lord declared new things. It says Isaiah 42:9, behold, the former things are come to pass, and new things do I declare. Before they spring forth, I tell you of them. So the Lord said that there was new things that were going to be declared on the earth that pertain to prophecy. And this is what this is pertaining to prophecy. That's why Isaiah 48:6, thou hast heard, see all this, and will not ye declare it? I have showed thee new things from this time, even hidden things, and thou didst not know them. So let's say the microchip, the mark of the beast, is a new thing. Well, the Lord said he would declare new things. But then when you go into the scriptures, you go into the deep aspect of the scriptures. When you go back into the Old Testament speaks about different marks and different brandings and having perpetual slaves. So it speaks about the mark of the beast in there, but it doesn't call it the mark of the beast. Like when you go to the book of Leviticus, let's go there real quick. Leviticus 19, right? Let's go to the 28th verse. You shall not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead, nor print any marks upon you. I am the Lord. So now when you go to the word marks and you go to the actual Hebrew word, the Hebrew word there is kwai, which means incision, imprintment, tattoo, mark. So if you have a tattoo or an imprintment, or if you make an incision into your flesh to put anything inside of your flesh outside of what the Most High gave you, then you're going off. And then when you jump down here to the Jacinius Hebrew Chaldee lexicon, it speaks about it gives you the Greek word stigma, which we've gone into this many times. That stigma is like the marks that Yahushua had, which was an actual print. Matter of fact, let's get that. Let me get 2 precepts on that. Galatians 6. Because hey, brother's been saying it. We sound like a broken record. So what? This is what the Lord wants. The Lord said whether they will hear or whether they will forbear. It didn't say paint a new picture every time you go out there and to fascinate my people so that they can come and hear your words and accept what I'm saying to them through you. No, the Lord said just give them warning from me. All right. So we're gonna go here. Got a couple of precepts. There we go. Just bear with me 1 second. All right, let me just leave it right there. Okay, now let's recap. The word kwai, which is marks in the Old Testament, incision, imprintment, tattoo, mark, stigma. Galatians 6:17. From henceforth let no man trouble me, for I bear in my body the marks of the Lord Yahushua. Now this what the Apostle Paul is speaking of is he's bearing these marks spiritually. But the marks that were on Yahushua, our Lord, were actual physical marks, which we're going to get that. But before we do that, let's go to the word marks here. And you have G4742, stigma, right? To stick, an example, prick. It says a mark pricked in or branded upon the body. So you can have a tattoo or you can have something that's actually put into your flesh, subdermal. It says to ancient Oriental usage, slaves and soldiers bore the name of the stamp of their master or commander, branded or pricked, cut into their bodies to indicate what master or general they belong to. And there were even some devotees who stamped themselves in this way with the token of their gods. And when you go to the law, there is a law in the books that states that if you have a Hebrew servant that does not want to leave his master, that does not want to leave his wife, that does not want to leave his children, that he will go to the master, and then they will go to the judges of the city. They will go to the door. He will take an awl. He will bore it through his ear, and he will be a servant forever. That was a sign that this was his a servant forever. So the same thing in the Old Testament is what the New Testament speaks about. But in the New Testament, which is in the future, we have the technology today called the RFID microchip, you know, which is doing the same exact thing as the all did back in the past. So if you want to get technical, if you want to go, well, it doesn't speak about the microchip in the Old Testament. Well, we got Isaiah 42:9. Behold, the former things that come to pass and new things. So if you want to go that route, okay, the Lord said, new things do I declare before they spring forth. I tell you of them. So if you want to go that way, we got you. If you want to go the other route, that the scriptures don't speak about the microchip. Well, we just read about quai, stigma, or something that's pricked inside of you. You see? So on all levels, it points to a mark of enslavement, you know. Matter of fact, where we at here? Let's go from there to Revelation 13. Hey, we gotta keep going over it, but that's all right. Let's go to Revelation 13 and 16. And he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. So let's go to the word mark. Charagma, G5480. A stamp, an imprinted mark of the mark stamped on the forehead of the or the right hand as the badge of the followers of the Antichrist. The mark branded upon horses, things carved, sculpture, graven work of idolatrous images. Here we go. In Strong's definition, a scratch or etching, an example, a stamp as the badge of what? Servitude. Why do they want that badge of servitude? Because they understand that the microchip is a form of branding. Okay? It's a form of branding. So this is why they want to do that. And now we read in the book of Galatians 6 and 17 about the marks of the Lord, right? That the Apostle Paul bore the marks of the Lord upon his body. And we read that it was the word stigma, which means something that's cut into you, or a tattoo. And we went back to the Old Testament where it says you should not imprint or you should not make any marks upon your flesh, right? Or upon you. And then you go to the Greek, the Hebrew is quai, which means incision, imprintment, tattoo, mark. Now, the one in Galatians, or stigma in Galatians, which is the marks of Yahushai, is talking about actual marks. But this particular thing that the Apostle Paul was speaking of, meaning he bore the persecutions that Yahushai suffered upon him everywhere he went. That was like a token of him being an apostle of Yahushai because of the sufferings he was going to. But these marks that were upon Yahushai actually happened. This is St. John 20 and 24. But Thomas, one of the 12 called Didymus, was not with them when Yahushai came. Excuse me. The other disciples therefore said unto him, we have seen the Lord. But he said unto them, except I shall see in his hands the print of the nails, and put my finger into the print of the nails, and thrust my hand into his side, I will not believe. Okay. And after 8 days, again, his disciples came where within, and Thomas with them. Then came Yahushai, the doors being shut. So he walked right through the door. He pretty much just, like they show you in the movies where a spirit just walks right through the door. But he was an actual man in the flesh, and he was able to manipulate his body into an elemental stage where he could walk and almost like decompose and recompose himself, if the word recompose is even a word, to be able to walk through that door and come out on the other side. That's spiritual power, man. That's spiritual power. Says, and stood in the midst and said, peace be unto you. It says, then saith he to Thomas, reach hither thy finger and behold my hands, and reach hither thy hand and thrust it into my side, and be not faithless, but believing. And Thomas answered and said unto him, my Lord and my power. See? So because he did that, he put his fingers into the prints of Yahushai's hand, into his side, and he could have did it on his feet too, because he had imprints in his feet. Now let's go to the word print. All right. The word print, from the word G5179, typos or tupos, typos. It says the mark of a stroke or blow, print. Did not it say in Galatians, but for the word mark, it said, it used the word stigma, and it said what? A mark pricked in or branded upon the body, pricked in, an imprint. And doesn't it say in the book of, where we at? Now I want to go back to that. In the book of Revelation 13 and 16. And for some reason, the Spirit has had us going into this mark of the beast hot and heavy. Like damn near every lesson, brothers are going into it, mentioning it, going through breakdowns, going through precepts on it, you know, because it's coming. It's right around the corner. Mark, right? Charagma. Let's see. A stamp, an imprinted mark. See? Going back here to typos, right? Which is the prints in Yahushai's hand. The mark of a stroke or blow, print. A figure formed by a blow or impression of a figure or image of the image of the gods. And this is why it said in Galatians 6 for the word stigma that the ancient Oriental usage, slaves and soldiers bore the name or the stamp of their master or commander, branded or pricked, cut into their bodies to indicate what master or general they belong to. And there were even some devotees who stamped themselves in this way with the token of their gods. Why? To show loyalty, to show servitude to their God, to their master. So if you take this microchip, you're going to show loyalty to the international bankers. And when you look down here for a primary stizo, to stick, an example, prick. All right, a mark incised or punch. Let's see what I mean. Maybe the word incise just means you just take a pen and write. You know, incise, mark or decorate an object or surface with a cut or a series of cuts. Cut a mark or decoration into a surface. In this case, your flesh, which is what? Subdermal, which the word sub is under and dermal is skin. Cut skin or flesh with a surgical instrument, which is what? The RFID microchip, which we go into constantly. Let's see. Microchip inserted in hand. I got that. All right. Good. Images. And there was one right here. Boom. See? It's being cut into the hand. All right. See if they got another one. Here we go. This one is even perfect because it shows you it goes right into the hand. Come on now. See? Bam. Imprinted, cut into. So there's no way around it. And when you go back to Charagma, right? There was another point here, or Karax, which is the root word of it. It says to sharpen to a point. Why is it being sharpened to a point? Because the international bankers are staking their claims, you know, and Elder Apostle Gabar just did a video on that, you know, staking their claim. I'm not sure if I watched so many videos sometimes I forget. I'm not sure if I actually watched that one in particular, but I know that I saw the thumbnail and I saw the title. And then you have the word to sharpen to a point akin to graphel. Through the idea of scratching, and graph was where you get the word graph, which means to write. And what does it mean to write? To keep records. And that microchip, once it's put into you or cut into you, has a form of record keeping. Right? It says to write with reference to the form of the letters, to delineate or form letters on a tablet, parchment, paper, or other material. In this case, the other material being that glass and all the components inside of that glass that hold your information, just like an external hard drive or an internal hard drive. To write with reference to the content of the writing, to express in written characters, to commit to writing, things to not to be forgotten, write down, record. And this is why they want to have everything on there, all the information. Use of those things which stand written in the sacred books of the Old Testament, to write to one, an example by writing in a written epistle, to give information, directions, so on and so forth, to keep records, all right, to keep tabs, and that's what it means. And so when you go to the Greek word for mark, and then you go into all of the root words, it all leads back to something that's cut into you, that's going to keep track of you, to make you as your badge of servitude, and also to keep for record keeping. And that way it'll be on your on there, and then they can just pull up all your information on there. And if you start acting up, they can either have something explode in there and have you killed, or just turn your chip off and you're fucked. You know? And if you take that mark of the beast, which is the microchip, you're gonna die. Bottom line. And I got I'm sure brothers have gone through this. So before I hit this, let me bring it back here. So this is, when I was watching this video, and this is the guy right here, Adam Abbott. These young men here that learned a few things, and now they think that they're experts in the scriptures. These guys right here. All right. So that's why when he said why isn't it written about in the Old Testament, or the prophets didn't write about it, something like that. The Lord says he's going to do new things. But if you want to get technical, you can go into the law and you can find different scriptures where it speaks about servants being perpetual slaves by having the marking of an awl bore into their ears. And these international bankers know that. And how are they doing this? How are they getting people caught up in this bind, so to speak? Well, let's go to the book of Proverbs. It's all based upon debt. Proverbs 22:7. The rich ruleth over the poor, which the rich are who? The international bankers, what they call the 1%. And the borrower is servant to the lender. And we've gone through examples of this when you go back into Egypt. When you had Joseph, or Yawasap, because some guys get mad if we use the letter J. Can't use the letter J for the Lord's name, but we could use it for Joseph and Jacob, and so on and so forth, James. And when you go back there to Egypt, Yawasap, right? The patriarch Yawasap, he was in charge. He was the second in command underneath the Pharaoh, and he was given authority over the pretty much over the distribution of the grains, and the corn that was growing in Egypt during the time of the 7 years of plenty. And then during the time of the 7 years of famine, he was also given the power to distribute out of those barns the necessary food to the people that were coming to him, but they had to have money. And then when they ran out of the money, they brought to him their lands, their cattle, and all that. And eventually they gave themselves up as servants, perpetual servants, to the Pharaoh, because they had nothing to pay with. And this is why it says the rich ruleth over the poor and the borrower is servant to the lender. And you better believe that these international bankers know about these scriptures. They know about the law. They know about these things. And this is why they're trying to implement it, but they're doing it in a wicked way. Yep, the brother Ruddle Huff. Check out the movie called The Belko Experiment. Yeah, and they had the microchip in their head. You know, they had the mark of the beast in their head, and they all agreed to that because they went to this, I believe it was a South American country where they had an actual corporation that was hiring people, but they had to sign papers and get that implant in their head. And what the implant was all about was it if they didn't comply with the rules, they will cause a implant to blow up in their head. So that was an excellent movie. So you brothers that you know you get a chance, check it out. Like I said, shalom to the Akim on the comment board, and if any Aquat are listening. All right, now let's go to this article, and I'm sure brothers already went over this because this is dated November 25th. Today is November 28th, 2018, the year of prophecy. And I know I'm probably Johnny come lately with this article, but you know what? I just ran across it and we're gonna play it. Another good movie to watch dealing with the chip implant is the movie Upgrade. To you brothers that haven't watched it, can watch that. Excuse me. But this is from Government Technology. It says Lorman on cybersecurity and infrastructure. Chip implants. The next big privacy debate. Some say we will all eventually be chipped. Others say never. Well, the Most High says this is going to happen. So you naysayers are full of shit. But I will say this on the behalf of that, that let's go from there to Romans. Because in essence, the world will be chipped because that is a part of the dynamics, of the prophecy. But you also have those that will not take the chip. All right. Let's see. Go here. Boom. All right. Romans 11 and you know what? I start at 1 because the point is further down, but I start at 1. Romans 11 and 1. I say then, have the Most High cast away his people? The Most High forbid. For I also am an Israelite of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin. The Most High hath not cast away his people, which ye foreknew. What ye not what the scripture saith of Elias, how he maketh intercession to the Most High against Israel, saying, Lord, they have killed thy prophets and digged down thine altars, and I am left alone, and they seek my life. But what saith the answer of the Most High unto him? I have reserved to myself 7,000 men who have not bowed the knee to the image of Baal. So you have an election out there that are not going to bow down. They didn't bow down to the image of Baal back then, and they're not going to bow down to the image of the beast, nor to take the microchip, which is the mark of the beast, and also the number of his name. Because this same guy here is trying to say, well, I never hear, Great Millstone going into the number of the name, so it's like with Jake, they always looking for loopholes. There are no loopholes, man. The mark of the beast is the microchip. You either accept it or you don't. And if you take it, you're going to die. Bottom line. All right. So now going back here, let's go to, so that the Lord said that he has reserved 7,000 men that have not bowed the knee to the image of Baal. So now I'm going to go to the book of Matthew 24, but then I'm going to come back here because I want to check out a word. Matthew 24:24. It says, For there shall arise false messiahs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, and so much that, if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. But the point is that they are the elect and they will not be deceived. And that's the point. They will not be deceived. All right. So going back to Romans 11, let's look to the word reserved. And now let's let
Strong's G 2641, katalipo.
katalipo, right? To leave behind, to depart from, leave, to be left. And this brings to mind the scripture in 2nd Ezra. I believe it's the 13th chapter. Just bear with me. Just bear with me 1 second. All right, I may come back to this, but let's go back to here. To be left, to bid one to remain, to forsake, leave to oneself a person or thing by ceasing to care for it, abandon, leave in the lurch, to be abandoned, forsaken, to cause to be left over, to reserve. And this is what we're looking for, to reserve. All right. So you have an election of men who will not bow to the image of the beast, that will not take the mark of the beast or the number of his name. Why? Because they are the elect, and they will not be deceived as others are, or others will be. All right. So now let's go to this. Oh, matter of fact, Revelation 3 and 10. Because that and this scripture here, right, in Revelation 3, you have Nate and the IUIC that are pretty much trying to laugh us to scorn, because we're saying that the hour of temptation is that mark of the beast, which we've said that it's the mark of the beast ultimately, but we've also mentioned martial law and things that are going to lead up to it, Jacob's trouble, which they're saying that there's not going to be no Jacob's trouble. So guess what? They're promising their congregation life, and they're going to be put to death with their congregation, or they may cause their congregation to be put to death, and the Lord slide them out of there. However, the Most High got, however the Lord got this thing planned out is his operation. It's his movie. It says Revelation 3 and 10, because thou hast kept the word of my patience. And the word of the Lord's patience consists of what? Consists of the law, statutes, commandments, consists of the judgments. It consists of history. It consists of the punishments that are coming in the future. And it consists of which ties into the prophecies. So I said, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, and the word patience means to endure, or means like pain, suffering. Because having this word in this world, it is a form of suffering, because we're persecuted for the word that we speak. People look at us, they mock us, they laugh, they talk stuff about the garments, and all that. They say that it's their dresses and all that, so they make a mockery of the Lord's word. They make a mockery of the Lord's men. But Yahweh has said, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation. And what is that hour of temptation? Martial law, the concentration camps, these FEMA troops, but ultimately at the end of that, or in the midst of that, this microchip. Because in the movie Braveheart, the guy was when William Wallace was on the rack. Remember what he told him? They said, all of this can end if you just say mercy. So pretty much they can come and say all of this can end if you just take this chip. You see? And that is going to be a temptation. Just like when Yahushua was about to go on the cross, he didn't want to go on the cross. That's why he prayed to the Lord, to the Most High Yahweh, to see if there was another way that he can do this without having to go on that cross. But when the Most High didn't answer him, he got his answer. So it says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. Because the plans of the illuminated ones, the plans of these Luciferians, the plans of these international bankers is to chip everyone. If you haven't seen it, I suggest you go on YouTube and type in the interview that Alex Jones had with Aaron Russo, which Aaron Russo he had cancer, he was sick, but I believe that after he gave that interview and divulged all that information, they helped speed the process up to kill him. And that's just our belief on it. And when you go into that interview, this guy Nick Rockefeller liked Aaron Russo, and he wanted to set up a meeting with him, and he did. And he told him about all the plans of Esau, and of the international bankers. And one of them was, because he asked him, what is the ultimate goal that you want to do? He said they want to chip everybody. So here there's a scripture speak about the mark of the beast. The RFID implant, the microchip, points to everything that the scriptures are saying. The international bankers, the ones that are in control, their plan and their goal is to chip everyone, because they want to have perpetual slaves according to the Bible, going back to the law of the all. But here it is, you're going to say, no, it's not the microchip. That's not the mark of the beast. Everything points to it. And the information out there and the evidence is overwhelming that this is the mark of the beast. Even a 2-year-old could break it down. But you're going to have the yay sayers, you're going to have the naysayers. You're going to have the ones that didn't bow down the image, that they need to the image of Baal, and you're going to have those that are going to bow to it. 2 Corinthians 2:11, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. All right, so now let's go to the article. It says, some say we will all eventually be chipped, others say never. Well, the scriptures say that he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, to receive this mark. But then you also have those that will resist, which are the elect. It says, let the privacy, legal, technical, professional, medical, security, political, religious, and also personal battles begin. November 25th, this was dated. It says, have you been chipped? That question is set to divide millions of people in the 2020s and perhaps billions of people in the 2030s and 2040s. See, and these devils keep pushing time forward, because time is going to always keep moving forward. But they believe in their heart of hearts that they will always be here. That there's not going to be any change of world. There's not going to be any change of rulership on the planet. Everything's going to continue as it has been for the longest. Psalms 49:11. Their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own name. One more. There was one more that came to mind, but right now it's escaping me. But the bottom line is they're thinking that they're going to continue on. Oh, got it. 2 Peter chapter 3:3. It says, knowing this first, that there shall come in the last days scoffers, walking after their own lusts, and saying, this is what they're going to be saying, where is the promise of his coming? And I was watching, who was I watching? I was watching some brother's live show. It was the brothers down in Mississippi. And there was a guy that came on there, God doesn't exist. That's all a hoax, this, that, and the other. So people are actually saying these things, and saying, where is the promise of his coming? And you have Jake that's saying that, well, they've been saying this for the longest. For since the fathers fell asleep, all things continue as they were from the beginning of the creation. So these are scoffers that are saying that this ain't going to happen. And they really believe in their heart of hearts that they're going to continue on in the 2030s and the 2040s and the 2050s and so on and so forth into the future. But the earth is still going to be here, because the scriptures speak about the earth remaining forever, because the Lord created it as such. Ecclesiastes 1:4. One generation passeth away, and another generation cometh, but the earth abideth forever. So the earth is always going to be here, you know, but there's going to be a change of rulership, because change is going to come. Let's go back to Second Peter 3:13. It says, nevertheless, we, according to his promise, look for new heavens and a new earth wherein dwelleth righteousness. So there is going to be a new heaven and a new earth, meaning this earth is going to be renewed. It's not going to be a new the Lord's not going to create a whole nother earth, and a whole nother heaven. It's going to be the same, but it's going to be renewed, refreshed, restarted. Yeah, it's June. Ain't no microchip. All right, so going back to the article, just as the world begins to understand the many benefits of the Internet of Things, IoT, but also learns about the dark side from smart everything, including our connected cities. Yeah, you have smart cities, you have smartphones, you have smart cars, you have all of this. And the smarter the technology gets, the dumber the people get. Because I can remember years ago when we were able, you had to actually dial a number. I know you brothers, some of you brothers may not know anything about that. Actually dialing a number to get to a brother, or shit, even going back to the rotary phones when you had to, turn the thing and you had to wait for it to come back around to dial the next number. Then they got digital with it, punch numbers and all that. Now you got your smartphones. But you used to be able to remember people's numbers because you had to actually dial it. Now everything is stored in the phone. So if you lose your phone or you forget your phone somewhere, you can't call anybody's number up because everything is stored in the phone. So it made the brain lazy. It says we are now on the cusp of small chips causing major new privacy disagreements. As individuals try to grapple with the privacy and security implications that come with IoT, big data, public and private sector data breaches, social media sharing, GDPR, and a new California privacy law, along with data ownership and right to be forgotten provisions, along comes a set of technologies that will become much more personal than your smartphone or cloud storage history. And there's a situation going on right now. I was reading an article, something based around the feds wanted to get information from Google about this particular individual to find out, the history of the particular videos he was making or watching, and because he, supposedly had made a bomb and killed somebody with it, and they were trying to get information from Google, from YouTube, as to all the people that actually watched that video to try to implicate them or try to either what's the word I'm looking for? Eliminate them from being suspects of the same crime, along those lines. So there's a battle right now between Google and the feds to try to get that information. And in the article, they were saying that, look, the feds already have the technology and the intel on how to get all this information. Why do they want more? It's because they want everything to be stored. Everything you do is all stored, in your history, your browser history, and this is why, you might accidentally come across a certain site and they say, well, see, look, you was looking at this site. Yeah, but you hit that accidentally. Do you know when you go to like different pages, like you go to this page here, and then you scrolling down and you watch, sometimes there's commercials, sometimes there's different ads. You might click on the ad and go to that ad. You didn't go to the ad on purpose. It just happened to be something that you tapped on by accident, and they'll accuse you of something like that. But that's all right though, because that's how this devil operates. So everything is on a big storage thing. And this is why we read in the book of Revelation, the 13th chapter, the root words of charagma go all the way to grapho, which is writings or records, because they plan on putting all that technology in a human, This is why they want to make this is why they want this is why they want to make uh, uh um um part human, part machine, so that they can have all your information stored. And matter of fact, I'm going to jump back up here. This is there's a TV series back in the days called The $6 Million Man, and I'm gonna let you hear some of this. I hope they don't clip me.
Gentlemen, we can rebuild him. We have the technology. We have the capability to make the world's first bionic man. Better than he was before. Better, stronger, faster.
Right. So, and I remember years ago that there was an actual different song to it. I don't know if they did that, for copyright reasons, or if they had different, different uh um what's the word I'm looking for, scores for that same show. It was called A $6 Million Man. Then after that they had the Bionic Woman. Then after that they had the Bionic Dog, and it was all based off of an accident that he had. And they what they did was they reconstructed him. And this is why you have that movie upgrade um upgrade upgrade movie uh upgrade movie. That's why you had that movie Upgrade, which in that movie Upgrade, this guy, he was, I believe he was in the military. He got in a serious accident, and what happened was they put a microchip in him to rebuild him, and he became like a superhuman. Because the Most High is gonna do that to us automatically because it's already in us. But these devils, they have to do it artificially. This is why they try to be like the Most High. So they're trying to mesh robot and machine, and the AI, the artificial intelligence, and all that madness. So this devil is just a Frankenstein. All right. So let's go back. It says, get ready for people to ask you to place microchips under your skin for a wide variety of reasons. Why are implanted chips so controversial? What is at stake? Funny they use the word stake. How can such a small thing affect so many people? What leads me to proclaim that implanted chips will become the next big privacy debate? Short answer: implanting chips in humans has privacy and security implications that go well beyond cameras in public places, facial recognition, tracking of our locations or driving habits, or our spending history, and even beyond ownership of your data. And this is why every time you go somewhere, your phone was saying, how did you like your visit to Stop and Shop? How did you like your visit to Walmart? How did you like your visit to so-and-so? I said, man, they're already tracking us with that. But they want to, because you could get rid of your phone now, but they want to actually put it into the people to make them perpetual slaves so they can know everywhere you go and everything you do and get a piece of everything you make. It says this topic touches upon your hand, your heart, your brain, and the rest of your body. Literally, this new development is set to give a very different meaning to hacking the body, or biohacking. And it's all about biometrics. That's why everything, like you have people that have a phone and they have to, put their thumbprint on it, or scan their eye, or whatever the case is. And they're thinking, oh, that's a good idea, man. That way nobody could use my phone. But you dummy, don't you see that by doing that, they got all your information? They got your DNA, they got your fingerprints, they got which they already got anyway. But the point is, this is why they're doing it, to be able to build a database around each individual person, to keep tabs on people. Why? Because they want their perpetual slaves. And they figure if they can, and Elder Yashwama did another video dealing with, I forget the name of it, but it was a good video. And what they're doing is Esau ultimately is trying to get his birthright back. Because if they can cause the elect to go off, then they could say, well, they can't get the inheritance now because they went off. But they don't understand that there's a mechanism inside of the elect that's not going to allow them to bow or bend to the will of Esau. Ezekiel 9:4. And the Lord said unto him, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. Now, this particular mark is a spiritual mark, but you also have a physical mark, which is the mark of the beast, which is the microchip. So when you go to this word mark, H8420, thawa, a desire, mark as a sign of exemption from judgment. So pretty much this mark is an exemption from judgment. This is why it says that if they were possible, they would deceive the very elect, but they can't deceive the very elect. All right. So now let's go back. It says, while cyber experts continue to worry about protecting critical infrastructure and mitigating security risk that could harm the economy or cause a loss of life, implanted chips also affect health, but add in new dimensions that conflict with people's religious beliefs. Let's explore the good, the bad, and the possible ugly implications that come with microchip implants. Background on implanting microchips in your body. First, as background, we initially explored this implanted chip topic last year in this piece about employees at 3 Square Market, a technology company in Wisconsin, who had a small chip injected in their hand for security convenience. Reactions to this news was all over the map, with headlines ranging from positive stories about the dawning of a great new era to Big Brother privacy concerns to fears that biblical prophecies are about to come true. And they are coming true. Many more articles have been written on this topic since my first article in July 2017. USA Today came out in August of 2017 with the headline, "You will get chipped eventually." Here's a quote. "This would go beyond paying with your smartphone. Instead, chipped customers would simply wave their hands in lieu of Apple Pay and other mobile payment systems. The benefits don't stop there." And this is the plans of the illuminated ones, which is the plans of the Most High anyway, because the Most High is the one that put it in them to do this, to fulfill his will. This is the Most High's movie, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai's movie. In the future, consumers could zip through airport scanners. See, everything is all about convenience. You know, it's about quick. It says scanners, sans passport, or driver's license open doors that start cars and operate home automation systems. All of it, if the technology pans out, with the simple wave of a hand. And this is how they get most people, because most people are so retarded, they have to keep up with the technology. If they come out with a phone in June where there's no microchip of 2018, and then they bring out another phone, the next wave up in September of 2018, the same year, they have to get rid of the old phone to get to the new one because they're trying to keep up with the technology, which is shows you how retarded these people are. The Atlantic offered an article on September 28, 18, describing why you're probably getting a microchip implant someday. The article focused on how microchip implants are going from tech geek novelty to genuine health tool. And you might be running out of good reasons to say no. 3 Square Chip says that its medical RFID implants will be powered by body heat. And McMullen's plans to develop a single piece of hardware to aid patients with the wider range of conditions could make the chips more affordable than devices with more specialized and limited functions. Many heart patients right now, the only time they know they've got a problem is when they're in the back of an ambulance, McMullen says. The company estimates that it will be selling chips capable of tracking a wearer's live vital signs in a little more than a year. But a few other developments will come first. McMullen hopes that the people will soon consider storing their medical information on encrypted RFID chips. And the group is also working on a way to make GPS-enabled chips available as an option for families to track relatives suffering from severe dementia. So you see, it's all about helping the people. You know, it's all about in the name of convenience and helping the people. And most people are going to take it for those reasons, you know. But it's nothing. And they're trying to say GPS enabled chip. They're already enabled. They already GPS. They're already global position satellite ready. The fuck are they talking about? This is why you can go anywhere right now with your phone, and they could tell you where you're at. And what does all the phones have? They have a chip. Another use for the chips that pose both obvious benefits and legitimate concerns. Second, the topic resurfaced last month with several stories like the NPR article on how thousands of Swedes are inserting microchips under their skin. More than 4,000 Swedes have adopted the technology, with one company, Biohacks International, dominating the market. The chipping firm was started 5 years ago by Johan Osterlund, a former professional body piercer. After spending the past 2 years working full-time on the project, he is currently developing training material so he can hire Swedish doctors and nurses to help take on some of his heavy workload. Third, the topic became heated again after this recent article in The Guardian UK went viral, titled "Alarm Over Talks to Implant UK Employees with Microchips." The article described how the Trade Union Congress is concerned over tech being used to control and micromanage people, and the article goes on and on. There's more to it. So I didn't put this in the description box, so Lord's will I'm gonna put it in there, because like I said, I didn't know what was gonna go into. So I'm gonna put this in there, so if your brothers want to read more, and if there's something else you find, if you want to do videos on it, feel free. But pretty much the mark of the beast is the RFID microchip. If you can't see it, then the Lord blinded you. I don't know what else to say. You're not going to find any loopholes. And some of these guys may be looking for loopholes so that they can convince themselves that this is not it. And some of them may even be paid off to be in opposition to the truth. Because you have the yay sayers and you have the naysayers. So with that, I hope you brothers have been edified. And to the next time, I say shalom.